pronounce your name for me?
Niranjan?
Niranjan Mahender.
Yes, Niranjan Mahender.
And today is the Eric Swahn Racing Podcast. I think it's number 66. And welcome on the show. So thanks for coming on, talking to me for an hour or so today.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
And we met at the racetrack a couple of weeks ago at Grattan Raceway, doing my first car track day, and you did your first car track day as well.
I did not actually. I did not do my car track day though.
That wasn't your first one?
No, I didn't do a car track day at all. I wanted to, but I couldn't make it out. So.
I thought you went out for a session or two.
No. I think you have me confused with someone else.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah, so I went to a track day recently, and sorry, I might have confused you with somebody else, but yeah, we went to the track, and he had a Lotus Exige.
I think I know who you're talking about. I know that guy.
Yeah. So we went out and did a couple of sessions, and it was pretty cool. It was so low to the ground. It was I could barely see it in the rear view mirror. It's so low. You had to use your side mirrors just to see it.
Nice. How did you like it? How was your first car track day?
It was great. You know, I tried to get a more racy car, but they just weren't available. So I went with a pretty stock Malibu. And, you know, you just take any vehicle to its limit, and it had some limits, but the tires were screaming everywhere. I was really surprised by that. Tires, every single corner, they were just screaming for mercy. And they were loud. I think it was louder than my engine because it wasn't that loud of a car. And I was pretty much a semi-automatic. So I had like a gear shifter on the stick. They're just a plus up and plus down. So it wasn't ideal. And then every time or sometimes, you know, not every shift is perfect. Sometimes you want to shift at different points in the rev limit and the rev range, and it would wait quite a while for it to shift for me after I pressed up and down. Sometimes I'm like, that's not really what you want in a racetrack situation. Like, shift now, damn it! I told you to shift.
Yeah.
So it was a little tricky sometimes, and twice I locked up and under braking, and just a little bit, but since it has ABS, it wanted to stop me to like 20 miles an hour, which was terrifying because I'm like smashing on the gas, like downshifting, and it's locked up the brakes, and the computer control took over. So it took a second for it to release, but it's like, you know, everything slows down for that 1 second. It just becomes, you know, like you can see in the Matrix, you know, it's like, go. And thank goodness nobody was behind me when that happened, because that was the most dangerous part of me being out there, was just the electronics that were supposed to keep me safe.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a really, really, you know, must have been a different experience, right, on a Malibu.
Yeah, it was different. I wasn't the slowest guy out there. You know, I have quite a bit of knowledge, and we were at Grattan, my home track, so I've been there. We just did the clockwise rotation, and it was good. I'd like to do it again, and just maybe a faster car. I was faster than some guy had a Fiat. I was faster than a Corvette out there, which was kind of surprising, but it was like a 1970s or 80s Corvette, and everybody's at different levels. Maybe it was his first time out there, you know. So you just it was cool though. They had follow the leader. So just like a motorcycle track day, they'd have the instructor go out, and everybody follows him, and then he does one of these, and you go to the back, and then second place pulls up further right behind the instructor, and does a lap behind him, and then, you know, that guy goes to the back, and so on. So we all get a chance to be behind the instructor and see what he's doing, and so he can give you instruction afterward. It was pretty cool. They do point to pass on straightaways, 1 car per point. That was different for me. Just like in novice and track days for motorcycles, they do only passing on the straightaway, intermediate only in the corners, and advanced anywhere else. But you have to do 1 car per point, and you're pointing out the windows. You pass me on the left or pass me on the right, you know, above your car. So it's just different. But
Wow.
I'm just rambling. But tell me about your day, your life. What's going on with you?
Not too much. I unfortunately couldn't make it to the last two Vera races. I really wanted to be out there, but my brother's getting married, so I'm helping out with all of that. So that's
Exciting.
exciting. Yeah, it's this weekend. So, but I am going to be at Nelson's after this, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Doing the Wera series. You're trying to do the full championship for regionals.
just the North Central. This is my first season racing, so I'm trying to get a feel for it and do as many as I can. And then the next year I want to do the whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
And so you're, I would assume, a novice if it's your first year.
Yes, that's right.
Novice. So, but you're an advanced track day guy, but you're a novice racer, right?
Yep. I actually did one. Well, for the first time last year, I did my first ever Vera race. John Hawkins got me to do it, and it was a lot of fun. But I just figured that the R6 was too much bike for me, and then I decided to get a Ninja 300, start racing that this season, try to get used to the bike and all that. And yeah, things go pretty well. The only thing I regret is I haven't been able to make it to all the races this year. Yeah, no, I want to go out there next year, do every single one, probably explore a few more tracks that I've never been to. For example, Mid Ohio, I've never been there. Pit Race, I've never been there. So yeah.
Yeah, those are some pretty good ones on the calendar that have been staples for a long time. And Pittsburgh has just expanded the track surface recently. So it used to be about a minute lap time, and now it's like 2 minute lap times. So
Nice.
the difference. And you've ever been to like Road Atlanta or Barber?
I've only gone to watch. I've never rode on those tracks ever. So yeah.
And those are pretty nice too. Some of them are more dangerous than others. You got to watch out. Like Barber is lined with guardrails everywhere, but most of them are in okay spots. There's only a few corners, like coming up the hill. If you were to get that wrong, if you're going left, that could be bad. But most of the places are pretty good. And then Barber has that museum that you can go to. And actually, I just got an email. I've been corner working this year. I'm a track marshal now. I'm a race official for the safety crew, going out and helping out with flagging and communications. And I just got an email for working Barber, Moto America. So that's like next weekend. If I'm going to go, I still work a normal day job and I have my business. So I have to plan if I'm going to be leaving. So I have to get a flight down there. And I probably just, this is the first time I actually have I haven't even used it yet. I just got a new tent, and so it can fit in my backpack because I got it earlier this year, but it's only for car camping. I'm like 60-second setup, sign me up. So I got it, and it's like this big thing that fits in your trunk or your truck bed. So that's not going to work for going out to fly and camping at an event. So I got to get something different. So I got like a lightweight chair because before I'd be taking this big chair all around, wearing around my back and bicycling to the corners, wearing a backpack and a chair and all this different stuff. So it's a little awkward. So trying to get some more easy to carry equipment.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense. But I'm excited for you. Well, you're doing the, Moto America race and all that. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's cool being there. And, last time at Pittsburgh, actually, I worked the Pittsburgh Moto America event, and Wyatt Ferris, I don't know if you watched the race, he crashed in turn 5 and high-sided, and I was the first responder to that fire. So it was
flames. Saw that. Yeah.
We couldn't put it out. There was nothing we could have done unless we had a fire truck on the side of the track right next to us. We were never going to put that fire out with 2 fire extinguishers. It wasn't not enough. But it was cool to get that firsthand fire experience anyway, and come out the other side. Okay, everybody was all right. Just the bike was kind of totaled.
Yeah. No, but I watched that video. All of you springing into action right away. It's cool to watch. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it was kind of cool to watch.
Yeah. So you've been doing the regional series this year. Which rounds have you hit? I would assume Grattan and Nelson, and they do Grattan twice, but not both directions anymore, just
Yeah.
direction twice.
Yep. So I've only done Grattan and Nelson's this year. Couldn't make it out to the others. I did the endurance race at Nelson's as well.
Okay.
It was pretty good. I don't know. I've been talking to my brother about it. Oh, he's been racing with me as well, trying to see if we can do the endurance series next year as well. Get all that seat time in so we can get better, right?
And
So,
are those 4 hours? How long are those endurance races?
2 hours on the small bikes.
Yeah, that's quite a ways. That's a lot of laps, not even on the 300.
Yeah. Well, I missed their this time when we were doing the endurance race. I missed the board, and they were trying to call me in, and I rode an extra 30 minutes. But when I was done, I couldn't feel anything in my body. It was yeah. So I want to be better prepared for next season. I don't think I'm in good shape to do the endurance races.
So tell me about your fitness. What have you been doing for staying in shape for riding one of these beasts?
Absolutely nothing. I've been eating a lot of cake. That's what I've been doing.
There you go.
Yeah. So, well, especially since COVID and work from home and all that, I haven't been hitting the gym at all. I hate I hate how I feel right now, but that's just how it is. Sometimes I end up working like super late, and then I'm just super tired to go to the gym and all that. But I shouldn't be given these excuses. If you had to make it happen, you had to make it happen, right? So yeah, just got to get up and go out there.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's hard to squeeze it in. I just started a new thing recently on Mondays. I've been doing Orange Theory. It's a fitness class. I don't know if you heard of it.
Nope.
So their theory is that if you're in the top 2 heart rate zones for the longest time, that you get the best bang for your buck for a high intensity interval training type workout. So they do rowing, a weight section, and then running or biking. And I've been doing it actually quite a while now. I've been doing the free classes every couple months. They'd call me up, hey, you want to do another free class? I'm like, sure, I'll try it out again. And I always liked it. I just didn't want to spend the money. So
Yeah.
I've been feeling like, it's easy to skip your own workout if it's not really scheduled, if you don't have something to actually time to be there, and a group that's counting on you in a way, and that has a group atmosphere. So it's like an appointment to hit now. And I've been going every week for the last couple of weeks. But also, it was yesterday. Labor Day was one of my classes, and I didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh, it's a holiday, whatever. They're probably open. They weren't open, so I went there, and no one's there. But the Stony Creek Metro Park wasn't far away from me, and so I just went to the park and ran around the lake for 6 miles yesterday. And I haven't done that in a while. I'm from corner working. Actually, my left foot has been hurting me for the last few months, on and off, and it's like a plantar fasciitis, I think. It's just from standing in place for 10 hours a day. My feet aren't used to that, and so it just been hurting my heel a little bit. So I ran anyways, and it's hurting more today, but I think it was worth it.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope you feel better. Are you doing anything to is there any way you can fix it or?
Yeah, so I think stretching helps a lot. I also do like a hot yoga class on Thursdays. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and the stretching helps a lot for not getting injured. And it's a hot sauna there too, like 105. And I know that sauna work is supposed to be really good for you. So
Nice.
I'm doing that, and I got actually supposed to have a race on Saturday this week. I just fixed my bicycle. I broke my chain last time out at Pontiac Lake. I had a few too many pops and went for a bike ride and screwed up my bike. Fell over a couple of times, felt like I was a newbie. I guess the lesson there is don't have alcoholic beverages and go ride a hard trail. As in night.
Wow. Oh, how's your how's the go-karting stuff going? I know you won the what was it? Was that the whole thing or?
Yeah, it was cart to cart. I did but they just bought it out. It's now Full Throttle Adrenaline Park over in Sterling Heights. They had a league night, under 200 and over 200 pounds, and I won the championship, 5 out of 6 races, first place, and this one I didn't win was the guy who worked there. I got second place to him. So I did pretty good, and I had the fastest lap for the whole series. So I was happy with that. But I
That's
also,
awesome.
yeah, man, it doesn't seem like that high of a accomplishment just because it's like a regular, like Joe Schmo shows up in races. They're not all racers. Like there's one guy who races cars at Grattan. There's one guy who says he's been in kart racing for 30 years. So you got enthusiasts for sure. Another guy is a simulator in his living room type of thing. But they're not real like racers. So it's just cheap racing that I like to do, and it keeps you on your toes. So when I show up, I'm like, I better win, right? That's my mentality. And so I just did my first real go-kart experience in a tag kart, a 125 two-stroke. And I went out to East Lansing Kart Track on Saturday. And I rented it from a guy, Eric Christensen. We went out to a storage unit and picked it up and transferred it over to my truck bed and took off all the bumpers and just barely fit it in there with some tie downs. It's a little too wide. I probably should have taken off just a rear wheel or something and stuffed it in better, but the tailgate couldn't close. It's pretty big machine. So I rented it for like $300 an hour of engine runtime, which seems ridiculous, but a brand new engine is rebuilt for about every 10 hours and it's like $3,000. So that's about what it costs for maintenance on that stuff. And that's not even talking about brake pads and tires. And I screwed up a sprocket. I destroyed the rear sprocket because he told me about it and I was checking it, but the very last session, I guess I didn't look at it, and the chain tension got too loose. And so I felt something spinning. I was like, what's that noise? I'm losing some drive power here. I'm like, it's not the clutch. It's an automatic. There's one gear. It's the tires seem like they're fine. It's not loose tires or something. It's just trying to like go through all the checklists in your head while you're also racing and trying to go through the corners. And like it's getting worse. Like there's a problem here. And by the end of like the second lap of me having that issue, it was already shredded. I was like, oh, I'm coming into the pits now. So I felt bad, but that's a minor problem, a minor damaged part for a day of fun in it. So, and I was having some problems with the carburation, like getting all the tuning just right, because it's a two-stroke, and I've never really driven or ridden any two-stroke in my life. So it was different, trying to fine-tune the engine and find the sweet spot for the high and the low of the range and all that, because I was bogging down a little bit, and they were just giving me pointers because it's a brand new type of machine for me, and I had no idea what I was getting into. It was actually the fastest machine at the racetrack that day. And it's like it's an X30 engine, so about 30 horsepower, in a cart that's 185 pounds, and I'm about 150, maybe 165 with gear and all that. So very fast, lightweight, and there was a couple sections that I was trying to be my fastest, and I just could not yet be full throttle. It was scaring me how fast it was. It was like, geez, I gotta let up, man. There's a certain point where you get into like warp speed, and it just accelerates faster. It's like, how does this? And that when it starts accelerating faster is it's kind of like the back straightaway of this track. It's not really a kink, but in these karts you can do it full throttle, and some if you have the balls for it. And it's tight, and I didn't feel like doing that because there's like a tire barrier. Like if I lose the kart, I could definitely end up in those tires over there. So I took it a little easy. I got a 41.79 was my lap time. I think they said they win at 37s. So I wasn't too far off for my very first time. I was happy with it. And I didn't end up in the grass. I kept it on the pavement the whole time. I did spin the kart about 100 degrees, not a full 360 or anything. But yeah, I locked up the brakes just a little bit too much. And then it's really easy to do. These karts are super powerful. I was really surprised though. They don't want you to have front brakes because it's such an advantage. I'm like,
Oh.
huh? Because I don't know all the reasons, but he was saying almost all the karts just have rear brakes. I'm like, all right, I guess that's one way to do it. Why would you not want front brakes? I don't quite understand, but for some of the better classes, the senior classes, they have, the best of the best and front brakes and all that. But for the lower karts, I guess they don't need it. They don't think it's necessary.
Karts are a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, I've never driven a two-stroke kart before, but I've ridden a two-stroke bike, and I'm sure when you get in that power band, it's all it's crazy. So yeah.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. And I was there talking to different people, and I was even thinking, man, I don't even know how to get this vehicle out of my truck bed by myself. It's like 185 pounds or whatever, and that's pretty heavy. You don't want to just drop it on the ground. There is a stand, and so you have to like bring it onto the stand, and it's pretty close in height to my truck bed. So you just kind of bring it up a little bit onto the stand, but I just had to ask for help a bunch, like 7, 8 times, 10 times every day that you do this. If you don't come with 2 people, you gotta say, hey buddy, can you give me a hand real quick? And they're like, yeah, what's your name? And you just meet new people.
Yeah. It's actually how I've made so many friends at the racetrack too. They helped me get my motorcycles out and all that.
Yeah, so don't be ashamed of asking for help. I never like asking for help, but it's like I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Either I'm gonna damage this cart looking like a fool, or I'm gonna ask the guy right next to me, for a quick second of his time, and he won't mind anyway. So, and actually, one of the guys, we became so good friends in 6 hours that he gave me a karting suit for free. I was like, that's so generous. I was like, I'm looking to get into it. I'm not looking to spend a whole lot of money. I wasn't trying to like lowball him. I didn't even know he had anything to sell. He was like, I got a couple of suits. What are you looking for? I'm like, I don't even know what my size is. A large, maybe. Like 6 feet, like I said, about 160. And he's like, I got one in my van. You want it? How much? For free. I'm like, sweet. Larry, you see this? He's a super nice guy, and he just bought a brand new 2021 Tony kart, which is about an 8 horsepower go-kart, and he let me try it out. He gave me a whole session in it for free. He didn't charge me $1, and then I got to use his fuel and his tires, and his kart is about 10 minutes of his engine time, or 20 minutes. I'm not sure how long I was out there, but it was so different. It was 24 horsepower slower than the other kart that I've been driving all day. I was like, you know what? This is probably a better place for me to start. I mean, I love the power of that faster kart, but I think you should always start in the slowest CC machinery possible. Like, kudos to you for going down to the 300, because most people don't do that. I raced with a good friend of mine, Al Zahui, and he had a 1000. We started at the same time pretty much. I was on a 600, and I was always 2 to 3 seconds faster a lap than he was at every different track. And some tracks, it's hard to do that, like with Road Atlanta, with a long straightaway, or Road America. We didn't go there, but you learn faster, I think, when you're going slower, because it comes at you slower. And even I noticed I was changing my getting on the throttle points and getting on the throttle earlier, because I was overdriving the corners way too much in the X30 kart, because there's so much power. I'm just like, just throttle out, you'll figure it out, And you just have to go back to the fundamentals with the slower kart, because you don't have a choice. You don't have an engine behind you to back it up if you have a crappy corner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying riding the 300 so much. I feel like I've become a much better rider now on the 300 because I'm constantly focusing on my riding and my skill, and relying less on the bike because I know that I don't have the power to get me out of the corner and everything. Yep. I'm gonna hold on to the 300 forever. I think it's also so much more fun because when you're passing people that are riding 600s in a corner, it just makes you feel good.
Gives you a feeling of accomplishment, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So how is it now? The lightweight class, as they call it, is not just one CC category. It's a 250, 300, 399, 400, KTM 390s. You got a little bit of everything there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was a little surprised to see the 400s racing in the same class as me because well, although it's only about 10 horsepower more or whatever, but it actually feels like they're going significantly faster than you,
Yeah.
especially at Nelson's, when you ride out of the carousel and then the 400s just take off after that. And I have the throttle, pinned all the way, and I'm like, come on, go. My bike's pretty, I mean, it's stock. It's got nothing other than a bunch of rear sets and clip-ons and whatever. Right? But yeah, it also, I think it's a good thing because you're trying to catch up to everyone riding a 400. Uh, I also found that there are several corners at Nelson's where I don't even need to brake or let go of the gas at all. Uh, I learned that I could do that by following a 400, so I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you definitely learn a lot more when you don't have the engine behind you. Um, I think it's important to learn on slower machinery because you focus on the corners, braking, the technical riding rather than just using your engine, like I said.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I even sold my 600 because I didn't think I was, ready to race a 600 just yet. It's just so much power.
It is a lot
Yeah.
of power, a lot to get to used to. Think about a 1000, how much power, much more power that would have. 60 more horsepower than a 600.
Yeah, it's it's insane. I got to give it to those guys that race the 1000s. Wow, this I don't know how they do it.
Also, the guy with the fastest lap time has the slowest hands. So you have to, when you have
Yeah,
all that power, you can't just be whacking open the throttle. You got to be just so precise in your throttle opening um, that it's smooth, reliable, consistent every time. You can't be choppy. You can't be. You have to be so careful with it. It's like you have a Ferrari, but it's
yep,
only 400 pounds.
yeah. And that's insane. Yeah, two of the people that I really look up to in general, as well as at the racetrack, John Hawkins, obviously, he does a really really good job. When he gets on the bike, right? Like he's amazing. And Lane Stewart, pretty sure you know him. He used to be
Yeah.
with, yep. So that's the that's always what they told me, right? Like focus on being really smooth with your throttle regardless of what bike you're riding. And yeah, I mean, it's really good advice coming from them. Yeah. Lane happened to, I'm pretty sure he used to ride a Jigsaw 1000 before, right? And he switched down to 300 and then now he's got an SV650. And, well, at his skill level, if he switched to the 650, what am I going to be doing, riding a 600? Like, yeah, so small bikes are good. They're a lot of fun, and I'm just working on my technique now. And yeah,
Yeah, and I'd say, I plan on getting a 400. A street bike is the goal to have a second mode of transportation. I haven't had a street bike in 10 years.
yeah,
So it'd be nice to have a backup if my truck is in the shop or needs repairs. Because it's been having some electrical issues lately and it makes me nervous that I'm not going to be able to drive it one of these days. So I want to have something that I can just get some groceries, go to work. I don't need a huge truck to drive around all the time. I can just ride a motorcycle. That's fun too. But also, I'll probably end up taking that to the racetrack, do some track days with it. Because if I'm going to have a motorcycle, how can I not race it or ride it at the racetrack?
yeah, for
Body
sure.
work and you're good to go. Some safety wire. Um, I already have all my gear. I got my suit. I just bought a new Shoei 1400.
Oh,
Uh,
sweet. Nice.
yeah, I needed a new helmet to do that car track day. So I got my gear again, and I'm probably getting more stuff. I'm looking at getting I'm already looking at backup pairs of gloves and that kind of thing because I just want to be ready for when I have the money to do it.
Nice. That's awesome. But when are you headed to the track? When do you think you're gonna get your 400
So
season or?
I'm planning. I got a lot of plans, but probably next year. Maybe this winter time might be time to pull the trigger to buy the 400. And then probably sometime in or spring or summer, I'll do at least one track day with it. I don't plan on going crazy. I'm still trying to save my money for like a house and a new truck and all that. But I want to do some stuff in the meantime so I don't go crazy. I've been doing all this corner working, and that's great because most of the time you get paid to do it, and you're at the racetrack. So although when I'm going down to fly to Alabama, I'm probably not going to make money at the end of the day. It's a cheap vacation type of thing, a cool getaway, and see all your track friends and shake some hands. And you know, I'm under the Moto America hospitality tent, getting fed and getting drinks and all this stuff, and talking to the officials. And like, I am an official. It's awesome. It's like this is like, how do I do more of this?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And anybody can do this. Like you could do this. Like your friends, anybody who races Wera, you don't have to have any race experience. You could be a friend of a racer or a family member or any relation, and have no experience. And
Oh,
if you're
really?
willing to learn, they teach you. Like I just went to the first one I did. I went to CCS, Blackhawk Farms, and they taught me everything I need to know. They took me around to the corners. They had me do a written test, and it wasn't like if you got this wrong, you're out. No, it's like if you get this wrong, we'll talk about it so you understand it, and then we'll go over it again. And then if you understand it, then you're passed. It's not like a cutthroat mentality. Like they need people. Uh,
Mhm.
they don't have tons of volunteers. I'm on all the email blasts now for all the different racetracks and availability for who wants to work shifts. And like Mid Ohio notoriously doesn't pay for corner workers. They don't get, it's purely volunteer based. So they're always like, we need workers. We have no workers for this. I'm like, well, that's probably why. That's the only event so far I haven't gotten paid for. But I'd still probably work the Mid Ohio vintage motorcycle days because it was so damn cool. Like I got free camping, I got discounts on concessions, and I got to hang out and see all the 5 different racetracks that they had, and it was a festival atmosphere. It's like all the vendors are there selling parts, and I mean they have like 30,000-40,000 people there, if not more than that. Um,
Yeah.
it's
I
it's a
always enjoy being at, races. It's just so much fun. It's a nice community and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, and they had some flat track going on. I just like doing a whole bunch of different disciplines and seeing what's out there, learning more.
Yeah, sure. I think I might do it too, I might volunteer. Yeah. It sounds interesting. For
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
and it's interesting because no one ever really asked me to be a corner worker. No one ever said like, "Hey, we need people. Are you busy next weekend?" When I was racing, they never really put it out there, but I guess they're always looking.
Hmm. Okay.
So tell me about your daily life. What's going on in your normal life?
Well, work's been super, super busy. Pretty sure you must have seen it on the news. Ford, Argo, and Lyft are coming out with this pilot in November, the autonomous vehicles.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, one of my products is going to be on it. So yeah, it's been pretty busy the last few months. Uh, you know, 10, 12-hour days and all that, which is fine. I'm just super tired at the end of it, but yeah, it's pretty much all that's been going on. My brother's getting married, so been helping out with that. I'm super excited for that. Uh,
So what do you think about all these autonomous vehicles? Do you think that's going to be coming on online very soon, or is it another 20 years from now?
Yeah, for sure. I think they're not too far out. They'll be out there soon. There are a few robotaxis running already. You'll see more from Ford as well. So, but I hate to say it, but I'm not the biggest fan of autonomous vehicles. I don't think I'll ever own one. Still probably gonna have a stick shift, loud sounding gas guzzler or whatever. But yeah, they're not too far out. Uh,
It makes me think, I've said before, I think cruise control makes people worse drivers because I used to use it all the time. I used to use it as a pit limiter. So I'm a notorious speeder. I think a lot of people are. It's easy to do. And so when I get to a certain speed, like if I'm, driving and it's a 45, I get to 50 and hit the button. And so now I'm not going to be really speeding any more than I wanted to, and my speed's just set. But it doesn't work in bad conditions. You never want to use it, if it's raining or snowing. But also my speedometer has been going crazy and doing one of these when I'm, my speed is stationary.
wow,
So when my speed does that, it just completely kicks it out and cancels it and turns it off. But
that is weird.
well, when you're imagine now all that time that you're not using the throttle and you're using electronics, you're actually becoming a worse driver, right? Driving
sure,
is
yeah.
a perishable skill. It's something you get worse at when you stop doing it. I think
I
it's
agree.
kind of like riding a bike, but it's not. I mean, there's a lot of nuances. It depends if you're just driving on the street or if you're driving performance on the racetrack. But even on the street, you get worse.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you're not using those thigh muscles or calf muscles in the right places anymore, and you get atrophy. So I think electronics can be helpful, but just like the ABS causing problems,
Yep.
it's not always a benefit. Um, like I never had the ability or the opportunity to use traction control or like wheelie control or endo control, braking, braking bias, that stuff. It was just never an option on my motorcycles, but I think some of it can be beneficial in the right applications. It's just it's difficult to manage it all. Like sometimes in the superbike class, they can change suspension settings per corner. If I'm thinking right, like GPS, you know, they can change
Wow.
all sorts of settings in the top superbike classes, and that's what makes the small teams so far away from the big teams. Is because the big teams have data engineers at $100,000 salaries that just trying to figure out how to make sense of all this information coming off the telemetry of the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've never been on a motorcycle that has all of these, electronics going on and all that. Uh, I've never even ridden a motorcycle with ABS on it. I don't know what it feels like, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know, maybe it makes you lazy. Maybe, it doesn't help you become that good of a rider, I guess. So let's say, well, think about it. You're mid corner and then your electronics stop working or something happens. How would you correct it, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
you
sure
probably
you'll be able to do that with a, sorry, go ahead.
be thrown off if you're not used to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And have you ever used any like data acquisition or lap timers like GPS, anything like that?
No, so it sucks, but the only way I see my lap times is when I do the races. I see what Vera puts up there, and that's how I know my lap times. Yeah, it's on my list. I'm gonna buy a lap timer pretty soon because I think it makes sense. I can improve after every session and all that. I just never got around to buying one. So
Yeah, they're not essential. You really don't need it, but it's a great training tool so you can measure how you're doing. If you can't measure it, it's really hard to know if you're getting better or worse. Um, and sometimes you can feel great, but be going a lot slower. So it's
yeah.
good to know. But I actually sell GPS lap timers from Starlane
Oh,
through my business.
sweet.
If you're looking for some, I might be able to give you a hookup.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.
I just got one myself. I took it to Grattan for that car track day, but somehow it wasn't set up right. It was giving me weird lap times. I think I just need to do a software update on it, and it should be good to go. But it's pretty nice. It has like a couple different sector times. You can hook it up to your computer and see all the position of where you're going. It's got, when you're on the throttle, when you're on the brakes. You can hook up, depending on which model you get, you can get cheaper ones that just do lap time. You can get other ones that are basically data loggers. So you can have suspension sensor hookups to it. You can do brake pressure and throttle sensor pressures towards the getting to the data. And sometimes you can even overlay your video with like your G-force on it and all this stuff. Put it on, make a video with all that data on from your machine, which is pretty cool.
So how does it work? You have like preloaded track maps in them, and
yeah, so most of the North American tracks and a lot of European tracks are already in some of these units, and you can also do point to point, so like rally, or you can do your own. You can make your own tracks.
oh, you can, nice.
You can just tell it where the start is. Like you can make your own track in your backyard and just say this is the start time or the start line. You can say this is sector 1, sector. You can make sectors. There's a lot of things you can do with it. You can use it actually as your dashboard. You can hook up like RPM sensors to it, so you can have all the data that could come off your motorcycle can go into one of these. Some of them are fairly expensive, but they use them for a lot of data. And I never had all that data when I was racing. I really didn't. I never used any GPS lap timers. I had one, but I couldn't figure out how to set it up years ago, and so I barely ever used it. But I just used the beacon. Like if we would go to a STT Sport Bike Track Time Day, somebody would normally bring a beacon, and it wasn't even GPS. It was just like a point to point. They would have to bring a unit, put it at start finish, and it would pick it up when we went by. And then the MyLap stuff was helpful. So if you're using MyLaps, you can also look on your phone and see the Speed Hive live timing, which is helpful. I use that sometimes when I'm corner working to see who's in this race and what are their names and what are their numbers, because I can't read that number very well. It's helpful to see that information. But yeah, no, you don't need it. It's just extra helpful stuff. If you have the money, it's very helpful, but you can go fast without it.
Yep, exactly. Well, I just never bought one because I didn't think I was fast enough, to need a lap timer. I just started racing. I'm like, okay, this is gonna make me faster, and I just started looking at lap times on, whatever Vera puts out, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get better, I guess.
I would say the three most important things for going to the racetrack are suspension, tires, and brakes. Like steel braided brake lines, not even upgrading your rotors, but different pads in there, different fluid. And if you got those three things, you don't need to really even worry about your engine. Obviously, you have to have a steering damper, maybe some rear sets for adjustment, clip-ons, body work, safety wire, maybe some new oil every other weekend. Tire warmers are really helpful, but you don't need them. It was crazy doing this karting weekend because they have no tire warmers. Or at least these people didn't. So you go out for the first 2 laps and you have no tires. You have no grip. You're on ice. You go to turn and your car like drifts for 6 feet before it starts turning. It's like, man, this is like sketchy. But you have to go through that, and you got to warm up the engine just right. They have this. Mine was liquid cooled, so I got a radiator. A lot of them weren't, just air cooled, but I have this flap on my radiator. You got to open and close while you're driving. You got to find the little thing and do one of these while you're going 60 miles an hour, and try not to burn yourself. But no, it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it was interesting. You had to keep it within like 130 to 160 degrees. It's pretty low, I thought. Low temperature Fahrenheit, and it was just you don't have that finicky temperature window with sport bikes when you use tire warmers, and you don't even really have to worry about the engine temperature that much. It's like you can warm it up for a couple minutes and twist the throttle a few times and it's good to go. Like you don't really, there's not much break-in per day like there is in a two-stroke kart, it sounds like.
Well, sounds like a lot of work.
Just a lot more fine tuning. It's just a different machine. Requires different stuff.
Yeah, sure. I used to ride a carbureted bike before, and well, after a point, I was like, I'm done messing with carburetors. I can't do it. It's just you can never get it right. It's always something going wrong.
Yeah. It's different. You think the two strokes are coming back or they're going away? It's just going to become all electric bikes here one day.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be electric bikes.
At some point, I think I might like that, because as long as you can ride them all day and get as much ride time and enjoyment as you can out of the gas powered ones, because I could ride in my backyard and no one would know. It's
Yeah,
not loud. No one's going to yell at me. Like that would open up a lot more riding if it was quiet. There's the Formula One debacle where they changed from the V12s to the hybrid era, and they eliminated the sound. Formula One got sued by the sporting regulation or something like that, because they lost their entertainment value from the sound. The spectators missed the sound aspect of it so much. But I'm like, yes, I get it. It's cool to have those really loud, amazing sounding machines, but then you can't race in cities as well. You can't race, like Laguna Seca has so many noise restrictions.
exactly. I was going to say that, Laguna Seca. Yeah.
It causes more problems, I think, than it's a benefit. I don't know. Loud pipes save lives, right?
Yep, for sure.
I think learning how to ride saves lives.
Yeah, looking out for motorcycles saves lives. Yeah.
But yeah, so your brother's getting married. That's exciting. You like his wife?
Yeah, I have to. I'm kidding. Yeah, she's really nice. I'm really happy for him. So yeah. Well, he used to be, well, my brother and I, he got me to start doing track days and all of that. So I'm not sure if anything's gonna change now that he's getting married and all that. I hope it doesn't.
Maybe she'll come and do track days too.
I think she tried one. I don't know if it went that well, but I hope she'll come back.
It's a lot of learning, so you gotta try it again to see if you like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to convince my girlfriend to come riding with us and all that. Just can't seem to convince her at all.
It's a high barrier of entry. This karting stuff, I wish that feels like it's easier to get people into, because I think people in the States are more used to four wheels than two.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's a four-wheeled kart, it's easier to get them to do it, I think. And it's maybe cheaper.
Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's also one of the reasons. So cost is a big thing, isn't it? Especially when you're racing and all that. The only reason I didn't get into car track days is because, well, I'm already spending so much on a motorcycle. It's almost going to be 2 times, because tires are so much more expensive, brake pads, and
Yeah, 4 of them.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
what about you? Do you think you're going to be doing a lot of car track days going forward, or?
I'll probably do a couple here and there. I actually got to call a guy back. I have a lead on getting a race car to rent a race car to do Waterford Hills racetrack in Michigan.
Nice.
I'm not sure, maybe this year or next, but get behind a real race car. I'm not even sure all the details of what he has. But he says, call me up. I got an opportunity for you. So it's just going to be like an open track day, get my feel for the car, just get my feel for it. I've been in a bunch of different vehicles this year, from supermoto to cars to karting. So I like having a different variety, and I think it makes you better. I think it puts you on your toes, because if you're only in one machine for your whole life, it's like you don't have anything to compare it to. You don't know different characteristics of how things feel. And I think it's just it's also just trying something new. It's super
Well, it's also a
exciting,
lot more fun, isn't it?
something to look forward to, and it'll be, I think, way faster than that the Malibu that I had at the racetrack. So I think it'll be a lot more racetrack worthy. And I had a 2013 Triumph Daytona 675, and I sold that to a guy who races cars, and he's got a car also that I probably end up taking out to the track at some point next year. So
Nice.
I'm not trying to go crazy with it, just like a track day weekend here or there, and just trying to save most of my money and doing some fun things, every once in a while. Keeps me sane,
Yeah, for sure.
because I really want to be just doing full seasons of full racing, like Wera or Moto America, or even karting. I think that would be a lot of fun, because even a kart's not super expensive. Like I'm learning all about the costs and different things of supermoto. Supermoto is so cheap. You can buy like a 250 for, say, a brand new $6,000 or so, and put some slick tires on it and pretty much be ready to race. Maybe a few $100s in some small parts, but a track day is like $50.
Wow.
You don't go through tires. You barely use any gas. If you drop the bike, nothing happens. I crashed my buddy's bike 3 different times, and not a single scratch was found. He's like, "Where'd you crash? I can't even see it on the bike." Like, the bikes are so resilient. I was fine. The bikes were fine. My pocketbook was fine. It was great. And so my real plan is I'm doing supermoto. I'm gonna buy a 50 cc, probably around 100 or 150. I haven't decided on what yet. And then probably a 250. My buddy Jeff's trying to get me to step up to a 450, but I'd like to start on something smaller. We'll see where that goes, because they're about the same price. And then do some supermoto, because it's so cheap, and you can go to the track and do an open track day, do a couple hundred laps, and pay $50.
Wow.
It's beautiful. And then so karting is very, very similar. I did this once you have the machine, and you can buy them from anywhere from 2,000 to, I mean, you can spend a lot of money, but 6,000-7,000 for a pretty good cart. The cart that I borrowed that was extremely fast and had a 1-2 hours on the engine rebuild was $4,250.
That's not
$4,000.
bad.
And it was the fastest one at the track. So for $4,000, you could buy that, and then do the track day itself was $50. That's it. It was $10 for admission. If I did a 2-day pass, it would have been $15 for 2 days. So a lot of money. And then the track day itself was $40. And they
What organization was this?
This was I think just run by the track itself. I'm not sure
Oh, okay.
what the organization was. It's just East Lansing Kart Track. It was $50.
Nice.
Come there, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have a canopy, which was fine because there's tons of tree cover. There weren't even that many people there. It was like a small venue. It's a pretty tight track. I think you're maybe hitting top speed of like high 50 miles an hour. And average speed is like mid 30s. There's a lot of slow, tight corners. But there's also a couple of cool sections and fast areas. So downhill braking almost. So it's got a lot of it, lot to it.
So supermotos, are they usually at the kart tracks?
So they go to a lot of kart tracks. I went to Auto City up in Clio, Michigan. And I wanted to, I turned that off for now because I'm recording a podcast right now. So, yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, they usually go to kart tracks, and they do like mostly pavement for what they call motard. But Supermoto is pavement and dirt mix. So there was probably like 15% dirt at this particular track. Not all of the tracks have dirt, because they do go to, for the Supermoto, they do go to East Lansing Kart Track, but there's no dirt section there. It's just motard or super motard. So those will all be slick tires, and even for the Supermoto, they do slick tires because it's mostly on pavement. But it's interesting. They've been building Great Lakes Supermoto. Will Wildner has been building the Auto City dirt section by hand and with machines, and there's like a step down feature. There's like a kind of a tabletop. There's a step up. And me, for my first time, I was definitely going slow through that section. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never been in the dirt with slick tires on a dirt bike. That was a little wild. You have to think of it like a jet ski. Steer with the rear. You can't be off the throttle. You have to be on the gas still, but you're going to be sliding all over the place. So just gotta be careful. You gotta be smooth. And then comes the jumps. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. And then it starts getting rutted out, and I'm not used to that. I've never really ridden in the dirt before, just a handful of times here and there. So that's why I'm looking to get some dirt bikes and get some experience, because that's definitely something in my repertoire that's been lacking, is some dirt riding. So I'm gonna get it in and start learning.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think dirt riding is really cool. The only experience I have with dirt bikes is riding my dirt bike in the backyard. That's about it.
I think it could have saved me from a bunch of crashes. So there's been a few times, or one time in particular at Nelson's, I went off into the grass on purpose because I was pulling off and I had a mechanical, and then I realized I was going way too fast. And so I pulled the front brake and obviously fell down. I was probably going like 70 miles an hour, and just tried to pull it out a little bit, and it didn't work out in my favor. But it was like not a big deal, because you're in the grass, you just tuck the front, you just kind of fall over and feel stupid. Nothing was broken on the bike. It wasn't too bad. Maybe like a foot peg, and at that time I wasn't even fastening my bodywork with bolts. I just use zip ties, because when the zip ties break, they don't wreck your bodywork, and you can just put it back on. And it was like a brilliant idea. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've done that a million times before. I even had like my body work held by duct tape several times when I crashed. So
It's cheaper, right? I mean, I didn't even paint my bodywork for a year or so, because I'm like, I'm just gonna crash it. What's the point of paying for paint?
exactly.
I like the rocking the primer gray bodywork.
Yep. Yeah, I ran like street body work on my 300 for the first few races because I knew I was going to crash it anyway.
Yeah.
It was half of it was held together by safety wire and duct tape and painter's tape in some cases too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So we're approaching an hour so far. Is there anything on your mind you wanted to talk about?
Oh, it's always fun to be talking about motorcycles and cars. Nothing in particular. Tell me about your journey through racing.
Yeah, so I started out back in the day when I was probably 13, 14, on my dad's scooter, just riding around the neighborhoods. I'd take that thing out, and before I even had my driver's license, it was a 250 scooter. I take it out all around the neighborhoods, and not really so much on the main roads because I was a little young at the time, but just trying to get some experience. I loved it. It was a Kimco People 250, not a fast motorcycle. It was a scooter, but it still went about 87 miles an hour. So it's highway worthy, pretty fast. One gear and no clutch, so it was easy to learn on. I had a back seat. I'd always give rides to my friends and girls and all that. It was a cool thing to have around the neighborhood. And then, but my dad always didn't like me riding. He's like, you need to, be safe and all this stuff. So I always did the Motorcycle Safety Foundation courses and the basic rider course. And I always wore, well, when I first started, I didn't wear any gear until I learned that you need to wear gear. And then I started wearing it all the time. Rode on the street for a couple of years. And I had a 250. I bought my own bike. had a '08 250 Kawasaki, and slowly moved up, got a 600. I rode my friend Ed Garcia's 600 around the block one day, and then 2 weeks later, I bought a 600. So that's what sparked that one. And then I rode that for like 6 months or 8 months maybe on the street. Then I got arrested for speeding. I got clocked at 147 and a 70, I think it was. So it took me straight to jail.
More than double. Yeah.
So realized I couldn't be doing that stupid stuff anymore, and I went to the racetrack and I did a full season of track days, and 12 track days I think it was at different tracks: Scranton, Autobahn, Gingerman. I think there was another one in there, maybe Black Hawk or something. And then I was already passing people who were racing, so I'm like, why don't I just go racing, see how I do in that? Because I just wanted to ride my motorcycle in an environment that would allow me to open it up and not get arrested for enjoying my bike, or minivans, or worrying about animals. Well, sometimes you still got to worry about animals, but less so on the racetrack. So then I went racing. I did one season of novice. I won 3 championships, and I did the 600, 750, and 1000 classes, both super bike and super stock for each of them. And I won a 600, 750, and 1000 while riding a 600. So I raced up in classes, and I could still win when they have 60 horsepower more in some cases. So that was pretty cool. It was very difficult at tracks like Road Atlanta and Barber, but it is possible, especially a novice. You can still fight pretty good. And then I did 3 more seasons in expert, and I didn't win an expert championship, which is haunting me. I was racing guys who were decade-long experts and professionals who had come back from pro, which is my excuse, which is why I haven't won one. But that's the truth. I've gotten second place, I think, I don't know, a dozen times or so in different regional championships. So I'm just trying to, and then actually in 2015, I had a bad crash. So it kind of took me out of it financially. So I haven't been racing motorcycles for the last couple of years. But I have been doing foot races, and I won a mountain bike championship, and I just won a go-kart championship, like you said, recently, about a month ago. And I've been getting into car track days and supermoto and karting at a higher level. So, and now corner working this year. Looks like I'll be doing at least 6, maybe 9 events total this year. I'm looking to go down to Daytona if they still need more people for the Race of Champions, CCS. And then I might do the IMSA Petite Le Mans, but they don't pay, so that'll be out of pocket, and I don't know if I want to do that. And then there's also Homestead Miami Speedway. CCS, here's an important note for you. CCS always pays corner workers at their events. So at least the ones that I've heard of. So it's I'll do CCS all day. Sounds like Wera doesn't always pay, but so far almost all but one paid. And then I guess Moto America doesn't always pay, but so far I've always been paid. So I'm not sure how that works. I think sometimes I'm getting paid by the racetrack instead of Moto America. Like I'm on Road America's payroll right now because I worked an event this year for 2 days. I worked it 3 days, but they only paid us for 2, which they only didn't pay for practice, but they paid for the race days. So it's a hybrid. And then I think I did get paid by Moto America at Pittsburgh. I didn't get paid by the racetrack. So it depends. Every single racetrack is different, it seems. There's no one size fits all. They're all their own unique businesses.
Yep.
So it's just different. So that's kind of my story. And I hate to be out of racing. I got a business named EricSwannRacing.com for a reason, because I love racing. I love 4 wheels, 2 wheels. The only reason I got into 4 wheels because I thought it was the cheapest form to get into. I was like, cars, there's no way I can reasonably get into car racing right now, or 10 years ago, I thought. I didn't really know so much about karting or how to get into it. Maybe that would have been a cheap route, or supermoto probably would have been a good route. But modified sport bikes is really where my heart lies, where I'd love to be in the 600 class again. To get back to there is my goal. And so in the meantime, while I'm saving for adult purchases, like a place to live and a new vehicle to get me around, after those are complete and I buy a couple of motorcycles, I plan to get back into racing full time, the full seasons. I want to do national WERA season. I want to do regional. I want to do Moto America for a decade. I want to do
Nice.
karting for a decade. Like I got goals, man, and I hope that my business sells enough in the future to help me fund all this. That's my passion, and that's my goal, is to be able to quit my day job and race full time.
I'm sure you'll make it happen. It's doing great already. I'm sure it'll all happen pretty soon. Yeah.
Thank you, man. This will help me out with you podcasting with me, just creating some original content. Hopefully some people are still listening by now. But it's just trying to create some advertising for it.
For sure. I'm going to have all my friends watching and all that. So.
I'm quite behind right now. I will say I probably have about 8 podcasts that I've already recorded that are not yet published. I think the last one I published was a month ago. And I said when I started, I'm going to do it once a week. I still have been doing it once a week. I just haven't had the time to put it out there. So at some point, it's just going to be like one a day, I think. It's going to be published type of thing. I don't know. I'm about to start hiring someone to edit these because I'm getting behind. Maybe I should just not edit it and just throw it out there with no intro. Maybe that'll make me do it faster. What do you think?
I don't know. I really like the intro. I think you should keep it. Yeah, I think you should.
It's just the only problem with that is then I have to change the file type, and I have to like render the video, which takes a while. It takes like an hour for me to do that. So I'll set it and then walk away, do something else, and then come back to it. It's time consuming, but comes with the territory of creating a show, I guess.
Yeah.
So where can people find you online? What's your Instagram and your social medias?
Oh, Instagram's where I'm mostly active. My handle is called Nicatoon1, NIKATON1. Yeah, that's where I'm mostly active. Facebook, I barely use Facebook at all. It's either LinkedIn or Instagram. But yeah, that's where people can find me.
Are you a video creator? Are you on YouTube at all?
No, I'm not a video creator, but I want to start. I want to start recording, the races that I'm doing. Partly because I want to see what I'm doing, if I can get better, etc., etc. Also, I think those videos are kind of cool. So
yeah, you can see your laps, your track days, or races. It's cool to see the passes, the incidents, or cool moments.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I plan to do. I recently purchased a camera, so hopefully I might try it out, give it a shot. Then next year, I want to be able to do it for every race. See how that goes. Yeah.
So tell me, what is your plans for next year? You're looking to do the full season, hit all the rounds?
Yep, that's the goal. Hopefully, I can do it. Trying to save up and all that this year, and then just do the whole thing next year.
All right. Well, I'll be looking for you and hope to see you out there when I'm corner working. And when I get this posted, I'll be sure to tag you and make sure we tagged anybody we talked about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate you having me today.
All right. Well, have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.
You as well. Bye-bye.